Well, hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining today's Inspire podcast. I'm so excited to be joined by another industry legend. We've had so many industry legends joining the Integrity platform to come together and look for ways to serve Americans even better with their life, health, and wealth needs. And today I'm joined by Patrick Bet-David, the founder and CEO of PHP Agency. And I'm so excited about having PHP join the Integrity family. Now, for those of you that don't know PHP, I don't know where you might be hiding today because it's one of the most well-known agencies in the entire industry. And what they've been able to do is really bring in over 20,000 licensed agents to help them be more successful in selling life insurance. And the way that they go to market is incredibly unique and inspirational. So I'm so excited to welcome our newest partner to the Integrity family, Mr. Patrick Bet-David. Patrick, so excited, my man.
Very excited to be part of this logo, Integrity. We're very excited about it.
Hey, listen, one of the things that we talk about, that integrity is a people business. And if we ever forget that, we're going to be out of business. Tell me real quick what PHP stands for.
Yeah, so, when you go back and you're thinking about, when we wanted to start the company, I got involved in financial industry day before 9/11 with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. And I started working there, got my Series 766, the whole nine. And you would go meet with clients and there were minimums on how much money they could invest. So, hey, my minimum, the minimum at Morgan is $500,000. Okay, so what if I only have $100,000? We can't do nothing with you. Right. What if I can only set aside $500? So my own family, I couldn't help my own family because Morgan is more the top 1%. Right. So from Morgan Stanley, I go to Transamerica, and I'm at Transamerica for 7.5 years. And I'm running there, and I'm starting to see what's going on in the marketplace. And one of the things I noticed was the average agent at the time was a 56-year-old white male, according to LIMRA. So I said, okay, 17% were women out of all the agents. You saw a lot of magazines were coming out talking about the purchasing power. Women had 75 cents of every dollar that was being spent. Women wanted to get into business, entrepreneurship. And then a couple things happen in elections. You can learn a lot about demographics when elections come about, a lot. Sure. I saw Ron Paul, a 69-year-old man, ran for president. He raised $6 million on MySpace in 24 hours. And it was a Guinness Book of World Record. I said, how is he raising $6 million in 24 hours? And then I saw Barack Obama, one-term senator, becomes a president because he understood social media marketing. You had to understand Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of those things that were taking place. And then the Hispanic vote. You saw how important the Hispanic vote was. It kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and my market was that. So we sat down one day in our apartment at the time in Woodland Hills at the Summit. I brought guys together, and PHP was being launched, and we said the company's name is going to be People Helping People. We're going to launch the company with People Helping People because I'm a byproduct of that. Insurance is not something you wake up and you say, I'm going to go do insurance. Insurance, somebody recruits you. So that's how the story came about.
So People Helping People, PHP, has got to be one of the best names that I've ever seen. And that's what this business is all about, is about how many people can we serve. Now, you didn't grow up in America. I would love for you to start going all the way back. I want to hit on several things you just talked about, but if you don't mind, you have an incredible story about how you grew up and came to this country. Would you mind sharing some?
No, absolutely. Thank you. So, yeah, born and raised in Iran. I'm an October 18, 1978 baby, which in Iran, this was the peak of the revolution. The Shah is about to go be in exile. So my dad's taking my mom to the hospital. It's curfew time. So they held up my dad. They said, listen, my mom's having a baby. My wife's having a baby and it's me. We go to the hospital. I'm born at the peak of revolution. 9 million people revolting against the government at this time. So I'm born. 4 months later, the Shah is in exile. Then Iraq sees how Iran's getting weaker. They attack. Next thing you know, it's war for 6, 7, 8 years. One day in Iran, I'll never forget, we got bombed 167 times in a day. We escaped to a city called Karaj. Karaj is like 2 hours away. So we went to Karaj, and then they started bombing Karaj, and then we went to another city called Bandar Pahlavi, which means Port of Pahlavi. They don't call it that anymore. We went there, and they started bombing, Resht, which is 10, 20 minutes away. So at this time, my mom and dad are having conversations saying, listen, we cannot stay here for too long. 6 weeks after Khomeini died, my mom and dad finally said, we got to get out of here. We didn't get our green card to come to the States, so we flew out to Germany. My mom, And my sister went to Germany. I lived at a refugee camp in Germany for a year and a half. And then finally, we got the words that we're getting the green card. Let me tell you, when the news came in, it's as if we won the lottery. No joke. Because as a kid, I watched Rocky IV a few hundred times, except in a guy saying it in Farsi, which is very different than, yeah, so Rocky IV is my favorite Rocky. And, you're thinking, hey, one day we're going to go to America. I'm going to meet the Ghostbusters. I'm going to meet Gremlins. I'm going to meet these guys. It's going to be kind of crazy. This is my America, right? And this 10-year-old kid. Yes. So finally we come to the States, November 28, 1990. We come to the States. We land at the airport. I'm looking for Sly. I'm looking for Pacino. I'm looking for everybody at the airport. Can't find anybody. Finally, we end up in LA, Granada Hills. I go to Glendale High School. Right after high school, I was a 1.8 GPA kid in school. The only thing I was good at was math. I failed biology. I failed ceramics. Ceramics, I got a D. But I was not the kid that, you would have said this guy's going to do anything. My counselor said, look, there's certain kids that I want to recommend doing this. You got to go the military route. That's your only option. So I meet with Jesus Guerrera. I joined the Army. I go into the Army for a few years and then get out and was thinking about being a bodybuilder and then somehow get into the financial industry.
Now, you weren't just in the military. First of all, there's a lot of depth to that.
I was at the 101st Airborne Air Assault, Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
That's incredible, man. Thank you for your service more than anything.
It was an honor.
I think a lot of us that grew up in America in particular take it for granted, right? And I think that there's so much here that we have just grown accustomed to that we just think this is the way everything is. But if you travel around the world, you realize that America has its problems. Let's not kid ourselves. But man, we've got a lot of things to be proud of. And we're the leader in so many different areas. And we have this responsibility to give back and serve people. And for you to come here and have that kind of Rocky IV moment, to be able to finally be here and then say, I want to go and serve in the military, that's incredible. I wish more people would do that. Now, your American dream, so you come back from the military. You said you started with Morgan Stanley. You started right before 9/11, literally.
The day before Monday.
So what was Wednesday like?
Oh, listen, Monday we come in, like you're thinking you're going to be, your dreams are going to become a reality. Every broker's on the call. They're excited. Next day we're having a 5:30 emergency meeting with Dave Kirby. And we're sitting there. It's a 1-hour meeting. We're in West Coast, so market doesn't open up till 6:30. At 6:30, you hear the guy from the corner, turn on the monitor. Turn on the monitor. We're like, what's he talking about? Dave, turn on the monitor. We turn on the monitor. You saw the first plane. Oh. Guy accidentally flew into the World Trade Center. We're like, you got to be kidding me. That's our headquarters. 3,600 employees. That's where I'm going to training. Then we saw the second plane hit live. When the second plane hit live, everybody remembers where they were 9/11. Oh, yeah. Second plane hit live. Dave is like, get out of the building. We ran out. The next day we came in. People had no idea what was going to happen. The market's tanking. They had to, pause the market because it was pretty scary what everybody was doing. So when I got started here, sometimes you get into an industry where it's the worst possible time to get in. Dave sat us down and he said, listen, if you guys leave the industry today, I totally get it. But if you stick around in the next 3, 5, 10 years, these boomers are getting close to retirement. You guys will be very, very successful. But if you choose to leave, I get it. This is the worst possible time to get into the industry. So that's the second day of the job, yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. So you get into the business, you're a huge success there. And then you said you went to Transamerica and you learned about insurance. What was it about insurance that really drew you in? Was it just the fact that you could help regular people? Was that the thing that drew you in the most?
So, initially you go in because I saw my dad have one too many heart attacks. The guy had 6 angiograms, 6 angioplastics, 3 stents in his heart. He's working at a 99-cent store in Inglewood, California. He's being held up. One time he comes home. I said, so Dad, how was your day? I said, your partner said you guys were held up today. He says, yes, this man came. He put a gun out. I said, why are you doing this? He said, give me all the money. I said, did you give him the money? No, I took the Bible out. I said, you need God. I said, Dad, you don't negotiate with a guy with a gun in his hand. He says, no. He sat down. We talked. Wow. He set the gun aside and he realized he needs God. I said, that's my dad. So think about how weird. Wow. The book says what? Somebody puts a gun out, they want your cash. What do? You give him the cash. This is my father who's raising me, right? So At this time, I said, I got to figure something out. I don't like my dad working there. He's having one too many heart attacks. We're broke. He's making $1,500 a month as a cashier. And my dad in Iran he was a chemist. So one day I said, I can't do this anymore. I go to UCLA Medical Center. My dad has a massive heart attack. We're watching the game where Allen Iverson hits the shot over Tyrone Lue and he steps over him. I don't know if you remember the finals, Philadelphia 76ers against the Lakers. Game is over. My dad says, I'm having a heart attack. I said, another one? He says, you got to take me to the hospital. I take him to the hospital. He goes to UCLA Medical Center. So then all of a sudden I go in the next day. They're not taking care of him. And I lost it. I was not happy about the fact that they were not taking. The lady said such an important thing to me. She says, sir, you can't tell us what to do with your father. You ain't paying for this. Taxpayers are. They called the security. They kicked me out of the building.
Wow.
So I go downstairs. I'm sitting in my Ford Focus. I am angry at one person. It's myself. Like, here's a man that sacrificed everything to bring you to America. This is your dream. And the guy's upstairs about to die, having a heart attack, and you don't want to work your tail off. You're going out there partying all the time. Game over. That night, I told all my friends, don't call me anymore. You're not going to see me out. I was 23 years old. I said, don't ever call me again. To the clubs, done. I'm done. Anyways, I went to work, first in the office. I probably worked 100 hours every single week for as long as I can remember. Every week I was out. And then finally one day, when I started selling insurance, it was money driven. Because originally, I'm going to become financially free so I can take care of my dad. Well, that happened when I took my dad to Hawaii. It was a dream destination for us because I would ask my dad as a kid, the questions kid asks, Dad, how are babies born? Now the question we ask is, Dad, what happens when we die? Where do we go? He said, you go to heaven. I said, what does heaven look like? He said, heaven, there's an island next to California. That's the closest thing to heaven. It's called Hawaii. One day I'm going to take you to Hawaii. I'm like, really? He says, yes. It's crazy because it's December 15, 2003. We're at Long Beach. I'm getting recognized to become a broker. My dad's there. My wife, she's there with her boyfriend at the time. Okay. She's in a different relationship. I'm in a different relationship. And they recognize me to become a broker, a man named John. I go up to get my award. I'm getting off the stage. And they said, hey, Patrick, we got some news for you. I said, what's that? You also just qualified to go to Kauai, Hawaii. I said, you gotta be kidding me. I took my dad to Hawaii.
Oh my gosh.
We had the room in the corner with the view of the parking lot, but we're in Hawaii. That's what matters. So my dad's walking around. He's like, he cannot believe this is real. So that was the dream. First, the dream of getting my dad, my hero in my life, to be retired. Then an event happened that completely changed the perspective of insurance. I'm sitting there training this guy named Sevon. Him and his sister were doing a business together, him and Arpa. They recruit their cousin, a guy named Gilbert. Gilbert was a 19-year-old Jehovah's Witness. The reason why I say the religion is because he was the guy that would go around the office and he would say, Brian, can I pray for you? Very weird at first, and you're like, oh my God, listen, leave that alone, not at the office, do it at your church. I just want to pray for you. And he wasn't trying to convert you, he would just pray for people. I'm like, okay, nice guy. Sweetheart of a guy, everyone's younger brother. So I'm like, okay, nice agent. We write up a small policy, $60 a month for $100,000. It's the third month, he calls me and says, Pat, I can't afford to pay this $60. I said, dude, $60 is nothing. You got to figure out a way to keep this policy. It's $60. He says, I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I said, just trust me. I have it as well. I don't have a wife and kids. Keep the policy. 3 days later, he's going home from Glendale Community College. On the way home, he's coming down Chase. He asks a classmate to take him home because his car breaks down. They're going down, they make a left on Lexington. When they make a left, another car comes, doesn't see the red light, hits the car, turns, hits the side of the light pole, comes out, he's bleeding, drops, dies right there at 19 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sitting training Sevon. My phone rings. I pick up the phone. It's his sister, their cousin. She's in tears. Where is Sevon? I said, why? He says, please don't react because Gilbert just died. I need him to come home, but if he finds out that Gilbert just died, he's going to drive very fast because he's got a Mustang. Just tell him you canceling the appointment because you need to step away, then I'm going to call him.
Wow.
I cancel the appointment. He gets a call from her. I don't even know how to handle the situation right now. He goes home, finds out cousin died. The reason why this story is so special is the story was written in the Times because mom and dad were devout believers. For 7 years, they tried to get pregnant. She never got pregnant. They decided to go and adopt a kid. A month before they adopt the kid and sign, they said, if we really believe in God, let's pray for one more month. They pray one more month, she gets pregnant. They say, God, if you give us a kid, we're going to dedicate this kid to your life, right? So we go to the funeral. Mom is in tears. 2,000 people show up at Forest Lawn. This is when we realized who this kid was in the church. 2,000 people, they love this guy. When I looked at the mom, I looked at the dad, and they said, our son protected us more than we protected him. Small policy, 50K. That $100,000 gave him the opportunity to mourn. That's when I realized insurance is unbelievably powerful. Wow. It was no longer about the check. So the sale wasn't anymore, hey, I'm going to make $800 on this. I'm going to make $2,000 on this. No, listen, just trust me, you need this. Yeah. It was a different approach to selling. So one was the dream at first. Then once the story hits your heart, it's game over from there.
Man, what an incredible story. There's so many stories. I was telling you about my best friend Blaine who died, and the fact that the insurance was able to keep his family afloat for quite some time after that. And whenever it goes from your head to your heart, it changes everything. It allows you to serve people in a different way, allows you to look at opportunities to find new ways to meet people where they are. And that's what I think you guys have done with PHP. You've done so well, probably better than almost any other group I've ever seen, is that you've looked for these opportunities to say, we want to help you be successful. We want to invite you into this new career, but it's not just about the money. That's a byproduct. It's about how do we serve the Gilberts out there in the world, or my buddy and his family, to make sure that they're successful. And you've served like this kind of underserved market in such a way. Tell us a little bit more about the unique ways that you guys go to market, kind of the demographics. You highlighted some of that earlier, but the demographics of PHP and how it's a little different than some of the other businesses that we've partnered with, and your passion around serving that market.
Yeah, so think about if you're somebody that's making 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, maybe household income is 120 between husband and wife. And you're not making enough money to get, a call from Goldman. Maybe you go to the bank and you can set up a CD, or they're going to sell you something, but no one's really going to sit there and kind of help you out, right? So you realize in an economy like this, you got to figure out a way to do something yourself, or else the door knocking is gone. Prior to 2003, when the do not call list came out, people used to call. Right. They would call and they would say, hi, this is John Doe giving you a call from an insurance company. We'd love to come by and help you out. And prior to the, hey, no solicitation, knocking on doors, we used to knock on doors until you eventually said, come on in, right? It was door knocking or cold calling. So the market takes out door knocking, the market takes out cold calling. Who gets hurt? Not the people with money. The people that got hurt when they got rid of do not call list and door knocking is middle America. So no one's going to them. We said, we're going to come visit you. We're going to come at the kitchen table, talk to you and your wife, and you can ask any questions you want, and we're going to try to fill the need on the situation you have, whether it's a term, it's a perm, it's a final expense, it's an annuity, whatever it may be. Let's try to fill that need. So when we saw that, and then you sit with this audience, this community, the level of gratitude is very high. If you came to my house and you helped protect my family and nobody else is knocking on my door, I'm grateful to you. Yeah. Then from there, referrals goes to a whole different level. And then you ask the question and you say, look, how happy are you with what we set up for you today? Very. Well, are there any other people you would like to share this with? Absolutely. Would an additional $2,000 to $3,000 a month part-time help you out income-wise? Of course. How about we help you doing this part-time? You could do that. It's very easy. I did it as well. Let me teach you how to get your license. So then it went into, so if a person buys the product, they believe in the product, that's very easy to share it with other people. Yeah. So that structure kept going. And the next thing you know, we got into all these markets, which now we have 20,000 agents. 20,000 agents. And in your events, whenever you guys put on an event, you don't just have some donuts and some coffee in the background. You have an event now. I mean, I know you have one of the biggest social media followings of anybody I've ever heard of. In fact, I think the last count is close to 12 million social media following. I mean, that is like the size of a state. It's the size of some small countries that are following you. In fact, I was recently at an event, and this guy, I said something about me being in the insurance business. He said, have you ever heard this guy, Patrick Bet-David? I said, yeah, I've actually heard of him.
And he said, I follow this guy's podcast every week. He's like, this guy inspires me more than anybody else. And he's not even in the insurance business. And he's like, I want to meet that guy one day. And I was like, he's like, have you ever met him? I was like, yeah, I actually know him pretty well. You know, I've got a bunch of examples. I was in California. I was meeting with one of our agents. I get in his car. He picks me up at the airport. I get in his car. There's this book by Patrick Bet-David. I said, do you know Patrick? And he goes, no. Is he like a real guy? He's like, I love this guy. He's like, I've just been reading his book. It's helped me so much. He's like, do you really know him? I was like, actually, I do. Like, you are a bona fide celebrity. I think you've got 5 billion views on, so is that right? 5 billion?
Social media views, yeah.
Like there's like 7 billion people and you've got like almost one for every person in the world, which is pretty incredible. Tell me about how you built your social media presence. And look, as you're getting to know Patrick, he's one of the most humble and hardworking guys I've ever met, which has been a common thread of all of our partners. None of our partners really were born with a silver spoon. They had to overcome a lot of odds. They're humble and they're hardworking. Those are really common threads of some of the most successful people I've ever met. And you fit into that incredibly well. But tell us how you've built your social media following. And I encourage you to go out and Google Patrick Bet-David and some of the things that are out there on YouTube and otherwise. How did you build that? And then tell us, I want to hear more about y'all's events that y'all put on.
So originally, I was creating content exclusively for us. It was all unlisted just for PHP. One day, Mario Aguilar says, Pat, why don't we test the market and start creating some content that's public? I said, I'll make one piece of content a week for 2 years. If 2 years later, there's not an audience for the way I speak, I'm not doing it anymore. He says, no problem. So we started making one video a week. The video was called 2 Minutes with Pat. Out of the 104 episodes that we did, only one of them was 2 minutes. They were all 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. It's like, we can't call this 2 minutes with Pat. It's misrepresentation. And then I said, there is an audience for this. And we specifically talked about entrepreneurship, business, capitalism, free enterprise. Those are the things that I can't stop talking about. And then now, obviously, we've built what we built with Valuetainment, the media side. And then within PHP, Matt Sapala, 7-figure squad. He's got a few 100,000 subscribers. I think he's got 50 million online views. We got Palayo's creating content. We got the Gains, all these other guys that are creating content, doing a great job themselves. But so that's that part. Now the event, as far as the events goes, I went to an insurance conference many years ago. When I walked in and I sat there, I said, okay, you know, the phrase, the cure for insomnia, you know, it can happen in many insurance conferences because sometimes you're sitting there saying, you know, if you think you can't go to sleep, go to an insurance conference. You know, you're going to fall asleep. So I said, if we ever do it, I like big parties.
Yeah.
I like big gatherings. I like to see where people are coming in, laughing, dancing, fun, all of that stuff. I love putting big parties together. So we started with that and we said, we're going to put some real big events together where we change people's lives. You're going to get all the emotions a great movie offers. You're going to laugh. You're going to be disturbed. You're going to walk away saying, man, I'm going back thinking about my upbringing, my family. You're going to be angry. You're going to be happy. You're going to reminisce. All of that combined together makes for a great event. So our events that, you know, we did, it started off with small budget events, you know, $100,000 budget events. Then we grew to $250,000 budget events. And I think the one we're doing this year at MGM Grand Arena, it's going to be like a $6 million event that we're doing. Okay, so we went from our first event having Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, at our event, which I interviewed, and it was a great moment where we surprised him with a Macintosh. If you see the reaction when he sees the Macintosh we brought in, he's like a kid and oh my God, when we build this, let me tell you what, it was so great seeing a guy selling the vision of what happened with Apple. And then we had James Worthy on, we've had Magic Johnson, Wayne Gretzky, Calipari, and then 4 years ago, I got close to Kevin Hart. We brought Kevin Hart to do his Irresponsible tour. Now here's the funny part about that tour that we did with Kevin Hart. He comes in with a bottle of 1942 in the back. He's 2 hours late. He's at the event. I see him in the back. I'm like, Kevin. He says, no, I got it. I said, Kevin, he says, Pat, I'm a professional. I got it. He gets on stage. All the carrier executives are sitting. They probably dropped a couple hundred F-bombs. It was classic Kevin Hart. So people laughed. You know, then we had President Bush there. Then we had the late Kobe Bryant, which was an incredible event. Then we had Jordan Peterson. Last year, we put a concert with Nicky Jam. Sebastian Maniscalco performed. He couldn't believe what was going on with him. Mike Tyson came in. very obviously he was high as a kite, okay, when he came in. And when he came in, it was a little too much that if you were around him, you also got a bit of secondhand smoke. And the interview with Mike was hilarious, Tyson.
I got to Google that.
That interview is classic to watch. But that was last year. This year, we're going to have Shaq there. And then we'll have Kurt Warner there. We're going to have Penn and Teller performing. Layla Ali will be there. And Nelly is putting on a concert at this event. So, the events, you go in, you're not going to think you're at an insurance conference.
And you've got 15,000 people in an arena.
Yes.
Like 15,000 people in an arena with Nelly. You've got Shaq. I mean, it's incredible to see what you're bringing together. And you're bringing in people who, a millennial group that might not have thought insurance was the right opportunity. You said this earlier, that nobody wakes up thinking that I'm going to be an insurance agent when I grow up. I've got 2 little boys. We've got kids about the same age. If you ask my kids right now, what do you want to be? They may say, I want to be a fireman, a police officer, Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect is like on the top of that list right now. Insurance agent, never. Have you ever watched Dude Perfect? Dude, my boys can flip a bottle. I'm going to try it. But.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Did y'all catch that? That was,
you gotta be kidding me.
My boys can flip a bottle like nobody's business.
Dylan, my boy's very good.
Yeah, I got to show that video to my boys because they love it.
Has he done this before?
Never done that before. That was one shot. But never an insurance agent, right? They never said, Liz, I want to be an insurance guy. But if you think about this opportunity to serve people and how you're bringing in this next generation of leader, I think it's incredible as part of that. And you're changing people's lives. Not only the agents that are coming into this whole incredible industry, you're changing the industry as a whole. And I think ultimately we're changing the families, just like Gilbert that you were talking about, and really talking about how we impact the lives of generations. And somebody, you once said that the way that you know a great leader is when they plant a tree of which they'll never sit under the shade, right? You're leaving that legacy, and you're just one of the greatest leaders that we've ever had, and I'm so excited to be your partner. What excited you the most about joining Integrity today?
First time we met was in your office with Eric and my investor, Greg, from Ambina. And we sat down, we spoke, we walked away saying, very impressive what you guys got going on. And then from there, we stayed in touch and we kept talking. And then Arik, who was my investment banker, he made the call to you, and then we came in, and I invited a few other guys to come by. And anytime somebody comes in as an investor, I want you to come to the house, meet the family, meet the wife. And one of them, we invited, he did not want to come to the house. He said, I just strictly want to talk business and I want to talk EBITDA. I said, okay, cool, no problem. But that's not our style. I already know that's not going to work out. And then we invited you. You came to the house. And then afterwards, we went to Casa D'Angelo, nice Italian restaurant, which we were there for 4 or 5 hours, having great conversations. But, the thing is, when you sit there and you hear the cliche phrase, win-win for everybody, right? Everybody likes to use that phrase. But every once in a while, it truly is a win-win. So for me as a founder, this is my baby. I've spent many, many years building this company from the vision day one to what it is today. So you're emotionally attached to it. This is your baby. It's like your daughter is getting married to somebody, and you want to make sure the person they're getting married to is somebody that lives by similar values that we live by. So as we started talking, and I learned more about you and your family, your wife, you guys got married June 27th of 08. Yeah. We're June 26th of 09.
We have a lot of similarities.
Your son, Asher's an Assyrian name. All these things going back and forth on what some challenges you guys went through, and you're just transparent. Listen, this is who I was. This is who we were. This is what we did. This is what we went through. And you partnered up with a Steve Young. That's been an incredible partnership for you guys. We sat there and we said, look, guys, the next phase is we can either try to do this by ourselves and wait 5 or 10 years. And let's say we can go do this by ourselves, or we can accelerate what's going on and make the decision that we team up with somebody who's led, my opinion, you know what I call you, and I say this to people behind your back, when people ask me and they say, who's the biggest powerhouse player in the industry? There is not a guy above you right now. There's nobody above you right now in the insurance space. And when I say that, a lot of people like, Integrity folks, they work with you every day. It's just Brian. We see Brian every day. The industry, you're not just Brian. Everyone in the industry knows, not just the, power players in Wall Street who are looking at the next place to deploy $1 billion that they can, 5X it. You know the numbers. We want this thing to be 5X in the next 3 to 7 years, whatever the timeline they have. They know you. And in the insurance space today, we sat there, we said, if we make this partnership with integrity, our clients absolutely win. Because if we can only offer these 4 products, now we can go back and say, hey, there's some other partnerships that we have that we can offer. Our agents win, our home office executives win, our employees, the reaction yesterday when you were done, it was so emotional what you guys did yesterday. Our field leaders, the players win, and then we win, you win. This was the ultimate win-win for everybody. So it was a no-brainer. When we were done with dinner, I got in the car, RX like, so what do you think? I said, what do you mean, what do I think? I think we gotta figure something out here. And then obviously we're sitting here announcing to the world that PHP is partnering up with Integrity.
Well, we are so humbled and honored to have you and your team as now partners of Integrity combined together. And what we're going to be able to do and how we can now think outside the box, look for ways to innovate insurance in new ways and to serve more people. I really believe the sky's the limit and we're just getting started. So thank you for trusting us. It's an honor to be your friend, first and foremost, but your partner is a special day for me personally. I know for all of our partners here at Integrity. Now you can see why we're so excited about what Patrick and the PHP family will do now as part of the Integrity family. I encourage you to go and Google Patrick and some of the things he's done on YouTube and social media. I mean, this is a legend that is now part of the Integrity family that I think will help us even elevate our game in so many ways. And I cannot wait to see what we can accomplish together. So together, we're going to be able to serve even more people. So thank you again. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Have a great day.